Hello everyone, welcome to my corner of the internet. My name is Jason and today we're back with some more of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Last time we read. That's basically all we did. We sat back over here after having a chat with Vivec. We had a little perusal at his library, which looks like it's only 4 pages, but somehow through some sort of strange magicery, he's got an entire library and he's fit them all on 4 pages. I assume we need some sort of really impressive magnifying glass to be able to read the contents of those, because the print must be really, really small. Anyways, today we're probably just going to keep reading as well, or we're going to continue doing what we did last time, which is just reading. The only reason I'm running around right now is because I figured, hey, while I'm talking and stuff, why not build up my athletics a little bit, right? Right? Yeah? Okay. So last time it sounded like we got Vivec's accounts of everything that happened at Red Mountain, and today we're going to read the other 2 pages that are right next to it, and maybe we'll get someone else's viewpoint. It definitely sounded like they left out some parts about what happened to Nerevar during that whole battle. So let's read Daggerfall's plans. The following documents were prepared by temple scholars and agents of the Inquisition for Lord Vivec. So, naturally, they will be, you know, altered and filtered to paint him in the best light possible. Maybe, we'll see. From interrogation of captured sleepers and other 6th House cultists, from study of manuscripts written by cultists and victims of dream-induced mania, from interviews with Lord Vivec concerning historical campaigns against Red Mountain, and from broad conjectures and inferences made upon these materials. This is our best estimate of Daggerfall's motivations and objectives in this most recent phase of his war upon Morrowind. Basic objectives. Establish a theocracy in Morrowind based on the worship of the newborn god Akulakan. Second Numidium. I guess that's a translation. To be created by Daggerfall from the heart of Lorkhan, and a body constructed according to the principles and rituals pioneered by the Dwemer Kagrenak. Establish the ancient heirs of House Dagoth as the god priests of Akulakan, and the 6th House of Dagoth as the dominant political power in Morrowind. Through charismatic conversion, unite the Dunmer under the... I'm sorry. Charismatic conversion. I can't help it. I hear that, charismatic, and I can't help but think of like TV evangelicals. So I'm like picturing like Daggerfall up in front of the stage and be like, yes, never mind. We're not going to go there. We already went there. Sorry. Unite the Dunmer under the guidance of Daggerfall to battle against the foreign animals who hold Morrowind in subjection. Note, Daggerfall has apparently adopted the views and motivations of the Dwemer High Craft Lord Kagrenak. In effect, he recapitulates the ancient blasphemous folly of the Dwemer. Okay. Expose the false worship of the tribunal and destroy the ecclesiastical authority and political power of the temple. How much the dissident priests or the cult of the Nerevarine may be controlled or influenced by the 6th House in this regard is open to speculation. I guess that's kind of where they get their fear. Anyways, extirpate all remaining individuals of inferior and mongrel races from Morrowind. Drive the Empire from Morrowind. Alright, now from a role-playing perspective, our character has been fairly friendly with the Empire, considering we're playing as if it was the same characters taken right straight from Arena into Daggerfall, and since Arena we've been in the... we'll say in the employ. We've been loyal and working for the Empire and the Emperor himself. So, I guess that would concern us. Recover ancient territory stolen by Skyrim and Argonia. Extend the worship of Akulakan to all nations of Tamriel through subversion and conquest. Okay, now plans to establish and expand the 6th House. Phase 1. Secure Red Mountain against tribunal intruders, deny tribunal access to the heart, weakening the temple while securing Red Mountain for the creation of Akulakan. Keep the construction of Second Numidium a secret. Yep, great job there. Phase 2. Create passive... Oh yeah, that's right, because interrogations. That's where we got this information. Right. Alright. Create passive servants in ever-widening circles around Red Mountain by broadcasting compulsions couched in dream imagery to susceptible subjects in their sleep. Establish a major operational base at Kogarun, We've been there a few times. For further operations in the Ash Wastes. Establish smaller bases near small port villages and in lower-class waterfront districts in Vivec. Interesting. Infiltrate and subvert smuggling syndicates. Recruit willing followers from disaffected populations, including the underworld, the poor, and rabid anti-imperial activists. Smuggling syndicates. So there's a good chance that something like the Kimona Tong could be, I'm guessing, that, yeah, it's possible that they would be infiltrated by the Sixth House. Phase 3. Expand from smaller bases to other towns and villages and recruit and indoctrinate subjects made susceptible by dream sendings. Occupy abandoned towers and ruins and train corrupted cultists as raiders and irregular troops. Identify, discredit, and decimate possible sources of political resistance. Now, this has got me wondering, you know, I know that the Ashlanders tend to be unfriendly towards, especially Outlanders, which we are. But it makes me, it kind of changes the my perspective a little bit on some of those random people that we met out in the wastes. Because I had assumed, oh, those are just Ashlanders who don't want us going there. But what if those people were some of these people who had been, we'll say, corrupted by Dagoth-Ur? And what if it's possible that, you know, like I'm starting to get the picture. I'm like, okay, this is where these monsters are coming from. This is where all this stuff is coming from. It's starting to feel more like a JRPG, right? You know, like, you know, oh yeah, the devil, and he's the reason for all the monsters and stuff. Yay! Because that's, you know, that's the plot to every JRPG. So that's why I went there. Sorry. Use assassination and terror to weaken, distract, and disrupt the legions and the imperial bureaucracy, along with their Hlalu sympathizers. Inspire popular uprisings of the native poor against the foreign rich and powerful. Summon sleepers and dreamers to Dagoth-Ur to work on Second Numidium. Inferring Dagoth-Ur's perspectives. Dagoth-Ur thinks on a large timescale, for the most part, in the outside of timescale of the divine consciousness. He thinks that only obstacles of mythic scale are worth consideration. He believes he is fated to rule Morrowind, to free Morrowind of the Empire, and to become the new hard-loving father of Morrowind. Given that perspective, the only opposing forces Dagoth-Ur worries about are the Tribunal, the Daedra, the Emperor, and the Incarnate. That's us. With the Tribunal's loss of Sunder and Keening, and with the diminishing resources of Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil, Dagoth-Ur believes he has permanently gained a decisive strategic advantage. On a mortal timescale, the battle may last for centuries, but the outcome is not in doubt, and Akulikan may be a device for dramatically reducing the timescale for a decisive victory. The myth of dynamic invincibility of the Emperor and the Empire has long been unquantifiable and intimidating, unquantifiable and intimidating threat, but recent rumors of unrest in Cyrodiil, of the Emperor's failing health, and the unsettled question of the succession have diminished the scale of that threat. Nonetheless, the revelation that the Nerevarine is a pawn of Imperial intelligence, handpicked and sent to Morrowind by the Emperor himself, may cause Dagoth-Ur considerable anxiety. Okay, so that's interesting. That relates directly to us. The Daedra represent no coherent obstacle to Dagoth-Ur. Nonetheless, their personal abilities and their influence upon their fanatic followers is considerable. Their motives and actions obscure, and Dagoth-Ur remains concerned about them. Okay, as he would, you know, the Daedra aren't something to be taken lightly. The Incarnate represents Saint Nerevar, a mythic force that has previously defeated Dagoth-Ur. When? Because according to the Battle of Red... Oh yeah, I guess the Battle of Red Mountain... No, wait. I thought they went together. Oh, that's right, and then after, when they came back, they fought. Okay, so wait, this does fill in a little bit of the blanks for us, because I guess that does confirm that after going back and talking to Vivec, Sothasil, and Almalexia, Nerevar went back, and they did fight Dagoth-Ur. And Dagoth-Ur is obsessed with this threat. At the same time, Dagoth-Ur knew Nerevar personally, knew that he was a mortal man with faults and weaknesses. Dagoth-Ur may have some hope of seducing or negotiating with Nerevar's reincarnation. Further, when Nerevar and the Tribunal defeated Dagoth-Ur, they were strong and allied. Now, the Nerevarine and the Tribunal are weak, opposed, and divided. Therefore, though the Nerevarine and the Tribunal represent the most serious threat to Dagoth-Ur's plans, he still has good reason to believe that this time he will prevail. A recent timescale of Dagoth-Ur's activities, much of the following timescale is based on inference from incomplete information. So before Second Era, 882. So I guess there we have a bit of a glimpse into how long this has been. So I don't know when the Second Era ends, but I know that we're in, what, 300 something? So I'm going to go ahead and say that at the very least, he's at least, you know, several hundred years old. Okay. Okay. And so that would mean that Dagoth-Ur, so the Chimer thing would have happened probably in the Second Era as well. Anyways, sorry. Dagoth-Ur and his kin lie dreaming beneath the sills of Red Mountain. Okay, Second Era, 882. Dagoth-Ur and his ash vampires awake refreshed and emerge from lower Red Mountain into the Heart Chamber. Dagoth-Ur ritually binds himself and his brethren as heart whites in a ritual of his own devising. First stages of construction of Second Numidium, conceived during the Long Sleep, are begun by heart whites and Atronach constructs in a chamber near the heart of Lorcan. Keeping the Second Numidium project a secret from the Tribunal is a high priority. So still in Second Era, 882. The Tribunal arrive at Red Mountain for their annual ritual bathing in the Heart's power. Dagoth-Ur and Hash vampires ambush the Tribunal. The Tribunes are driven away and prevented from restoring themselves with Kagranak's tools at the heart of Lorcan. Okay, so they needed constant access to the heart to renew their power, by the sounds of things. Their annual. So they came back every year to bathe in the heart's power. Okay, so actually, wait, we're up to 400 something. So from the period of 882 to Third Era 417, which I'm assuming is really close because I can't remember what year we started an arena in that. But anyways, intermittent. I think arena was in the 300s, right? So we've been alive for a while. Sorry, intermittent Tribunal campaigns assault Red Mountain. The Tribunal and supporting forces seek to force access to the Heart Chamber, but are repeatedly driven back. Dagoth-Ur recruits sleepers and dreamers through dream sendings. Cultists are recruited through dream compulsion. Weaker cultists become corpus beasts. Stronger cultists advance through stages towards the powers of the ascended sleepers. So Third Era, 400. Kogarun reoccupied by Dagoth Uthal and fortified as an advanced base for 6th House operations. Blight storms more frequent and widespread. Soul sickness spreads in regions close to Red Mountain. So it sounds like around 400, that's when we start dealing with more... Oh no, that's right, it's just more frequent. So blight storms were around before then. I've got to figure out where the end of the Second Era, when it ends. Like what year it is that the Second Era ends. Third Era, 410. 6th House base is founded near Narmak. That's over on the left, right, on the west side of Vardenfell. And in waterfront areas of Vivec. 6th House operatives exploit smuggler organizations and communications to spread their influence among victims unbalanced by Dagoth-Ur's dream sendings. 415. Small cells of 6th House cultists in every town in Vardenfell. Larger 6th House operations are concealed in remote dungeons where creatures are bred and cultists are trained for the coming struggle. 417. Almalexia and Sil lose the artifacts Keening and Sunder to Dagoth Odros and Vimin. Vivec rescues Almalexia and Sil, but failing to recover Keening and Sunder, the Tribunal retreat from Red Mountain in disorder. Surviving Buoyant Armiger companions... Surviving Buoyant Armiger companions... I'm not sure I understand this sentence. Okay, Buoyant Armiger, I'm guessing is a name. Surviving... this is S because it's the beginning of a sentence, so... Surviving, so this guy survived. Buoyant Armiger, I'm assuming is a person. Companions know the Tribunal was forced to retreat. I guess maybe that was a group. Anyways, but do not know how serious a reversal the Tribunal has suffered. The 3 tribunes return to their respective capitals and continue to perform their ritual functions. The Tribunes continue to grow weaker without access to the heart, and because of resources required to support the Ghost Fence, the inner circle of the temple priesthood has begun to suspect the Tribunes have suffered seriously from wounds and demoralization in the wake of reverses at Red Mountain, but do not recognize the scale of the problem. Oh wow, okay, so 426 to 427, campaign of Sixth House assassinations of prominent Imperial citizens and Hlalu Imperial sympathizers. Sudden increase in number and seriousness of attacks by cultists and victims deranged by soul sickness. Noted with concern, Dagoth can apparently perceive and communicate directly through his cultists. Yeah, we've ran into a few of those. Sleepers and dreamers are often reported speaking as though with Dagoth voice and intention. Little is known about the features, scale, or stage of completion of Akula Khan, the Second Numidium. No one has gained entrance to the Heart Chamber since Second Era 282. In Third Era 417, Keening and Sunder were captured and may substantially aid in Akula Khan's construction. So nobody's gotten access to the Heart Chamber since this 282. Wait, I'm sorry. Wait a second. Is that a typo? Because right here it says the Tribunal arrive at Red Mountain for their annual ritual bathing at the Heart's Power. So they're stopped in 882, which means the last time that they were able to, and since it's annual, their last successful time should have been at 881. So the last successful time was 881, and I'm assuming here that they would have made it to the chamber because this last thing says 282. I'm assuming that they meant 882. Okay. All right, so that there is Dagoth plans. Nice to know what he's planning on doing and what he's been doing. I'm starting to get a more complete picture of what is happening here. So let's take a look at Nerevar at Red Mountain. That sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure we've read this before, but for completion's sake and for a bit of a refresher, we're going to read this again. So the following is from the Apocrypha, the hidden writings of the Tribunal Temple. It is a scholarly retelling of a tradition transmitted through the Ashlanders concerning the battle at Red Mountain and subsequent events. The Ashlanders associate this tale with the telling of Alandro Sul, a shield companion of Nerevar who came to live among the Ashlanders after the death of Nerevar and during the ascension of the Tribunal. There are many variant treatments of this story, but the primary elements are consistent throughout the tradition. The murder of Nerevar, the tragic fate of Dagoth and the profane source of the Tribunal's divine power are denied by Temple doctrine as ignorant Ashlander superstition, and not widely known among civilized Dunmer. So, let's see here. Resdain, present-day Morrowind, was contested ground between two very different types of Mer. The Chimer, who worshipped Daedra, and the Dwemer, who worshipped a profane and secret power. Okay, so far that tracks, that's about right. These two people warred with each other constantly until their lands were invaded by a young, vibrant, and violent alien culture, the Nords. Two heroes, one from the Chimer and one from the Dwemer, Indoral Nerevar and Dumak Dwarf Orc, made peace between their people and together ousted the alien invaders. Then these two heroes worked long and hard to maintain that peace thereafter. Though their counselors thought it could not last, or worse that it shouldn't, Nerevar's queen and his generals, Alexia, Sothasil, Vivec, told him to claim all Resdain for his own. But Nerevar would not listen, for he remembered his friendship with Dumak. There would be only peace. I kind of want to run back and reread the other one, because that sounds like it might be a little different. I'm sorry, my memories, it's awful, I'm sorry. Until Dagoth arrived, House Dagoth had discovered the source of the profane and secret power of the Dwemer, the legendary heart of Lorcan, which Dumak's people had used to make themselves immortal and beyond the measure of the gods. In fact, one of their high priests, Kagranak, was building a new god so that the Dwemer could claim Resdain for their own. The Tribunal urged Nerevar again to make war on the dwarves. Nerevar was troubled. He went to Dumak, his friend of old, and asked if what Dagoth said was true. But Kagranak and the high priests of the Dwemer had kept their new god secret from their king, and Dumak said the Dwemer were innocent of any wrongdoing. Interesting. So Dumak actually was not responsible for, according to this account, was not responsible, and Kagranak, they had kept this whole thing secret. So their king was in the dark, so technically both kings because Nerevar was king, right? He was a leader. It seems like both of them were betrayed by those who sought power from beneath them. Nerevar was troubled again and made pilgrimage to Holamayan, the sacred temple of Azura, who confirmed that all that Daggerfall said was indeed true, and that the new god of the Dwemer should be destroyed for the safety of not only Resdayn, but for the whole world. When Nerevar went back and told his tribunal what the goddess had said, his queen and generals felt themselves proved aright and again counseled him to war. There were reasons that the Dwemer and the Chimer had hated each other forever. Finally, Nerevar, angered that his friend Dumak would lie to him, went back to Vardenfell. But from what we read before, it sounds like Dumak wasn't even aware of it. This time, the Chimer King was arrayed in arms and armor and had his hosts around him, and he spoke harshly to Dumak, Dwarf Orc, King of Red Mountain. You must give up your worship of the Heart of Lorkhan, or I shall forget our friendship, and the deeds that were accomplished in its name. And Dumak, who still knew nothing of Kagranak's new god, but proud and protective as ever of his people, said, "We shall not relinquish that which has been our way for years beyond reckoning, just as the Chimer will not relinquish their ties to the lords and ladies of Oblivion. And to come at my door in this way, arrayed in arms and armor, and with your hosts around you, tells me that you have already forgotten our friendship. Stand down, my sweet Nerevar, or I swear by the 15 and 1 golden tones, I shall kill you and all your people." Okay, so I guess he's aware of the heart, but just not of, like, the Numidium, right? The second Numidium? Or whatever? No, because that was started by Daggerfall, wasn't it? The new god. I'm confused. I'll keep reading. And so the Chimer and Dwemer went to war. The Dwemer were well defended by their fortress at Red Mountain, but the bravery and cleverness of Nerevar's queen and generals drew most of Dumak's armies out into the field and kept them there. That tracks as well. So that Nerevar and Daggerfall could make their way to the Heart Chamber by secret means. There Nerevar met Dumak the Dwarf King, and they both fell from grievous wounds. Daggerfall slew Kagranak and took the tools the Dwemer used to tap the power of the heart. He went to his dying lord, Nerevar, and asked him what to do with these tools, and Nerevar summoned Azura again, and she showed them how to use the tools to separate the power of the heart from the Dwemer people. Okay, we're getting a little bit of different information here. This is kind of filling in a little bit of the blanks there. Like, I suspected that Nerevar had become, like, really become mortally wounded, but it wasn't totally clear. So anyways, and on the fields, the tribunal and their armies watched as the Dwemer turned into dust all around them as their stolen immortality was taken away. That's interesting, because all the other accounts are like, well, I don't know what happened to the dwarves. But in this case here, it sounds like, at least according to this account, it sounds like, you know, they were alive for so long, their immortality was taken, and so, you know, they just poof off the dust. Back in Red Mountain, Nerevar told Daggerfall to protect the tools and the Heart Chamber until he returned. Daggerfall said, but shouldn't we destroy these tools at once, so that they might never be used for evil again? But Nerevar was confused by his wounds and his sorrow, for he still loved Dumak and the Dwemer people, and so went to the fields outside of Red Mountain to confer with his queen and his generals, who had foreseen that this war would come, and whose counsel he would not ignore again. I will ask the tribunal what we shall do with them, for they have had wisdom in the past that I have had not. Stay here, loyal Daggerfall, until I return. Then Nerevar told his queen and generals all that had transpired under Red Mountain, and how the Dwemer had used special tools to turn their people into immortals, and of the wondrous power of the Heart of Lorkhan. The tribunal decided that the Chimer should learn how to use this power so that Nerevar might claim Resdayn and the world for their people. Nerevar did not expect or want this, so he asked his queen and generals to help him summon Azura yet again for her guidance. But the tribunal had become as greedy as Kagranak upon hearing of the power of the heart, and they coveted it. They made ritual as if to summon Azura as Nerevar wanted, but Almalexia used poison candles, and Sothasil used poison robes, and Vivec used poison invocations, and Nerevar was murdered. So by the sounds of things here, as I suspected, Nerevar never went back. Then Azura came forth anyway and cursed the tribunal for their foul deeds. She told them that she would use her powers over dusk and dawn to make sure Nerevar would come back and make things right again. But the tribunal laughed at her and said that soon they would be gods themselves and that the Chimer people would forget their old ways of worship. And Azura knew this would be true, and that it would take a long time before her power might bring Nerevar back. What you have done here today is foul beyond measure, and you will grow to regret it. For the lives of gods are not what mortals think, and matters that weigh only years to mortals weigh on gods forever. And so that they might know forever their wicked deeds, Azura changed the Chimer into Dunmer, and their skin turned ashen and their eyes into fire. Let this mark remind you of your true selves, who, like ghouls, fed on the nobility, heroism, and trust of their king. And then the tribunal went into Red Mountain and met with Dagoth-Ur. Dagoth-Ur saw what had been done, for his skin had changed as well, and he tried to avenge the death of Nerevar, but to no avail. He was driven off and thought dead. The tribunal found the tools he had been guarding, and, through study of Kagranak's methods, turned themselves into gods. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was suspecting, because Vivec totally glosses over what happens with Nerevar, which is really suspicious, right? So, I kind of believe this one, to be honest. And this kind of also answers, like, why did it take so long for the Nerevarine to come back? Like, were the other ones all, like, false attempts? Were all the other ones, like, did they succeed? It's interesting. Because all the other ones, they had died in that chamber, right? Or did they if they didn't complete the trials, that's right, they had died. So I'm trying to figure out, like, at what point were we talked to by Azura? Like, how many people were talked to by Azura? Like, how many times was Nerevar reincarnated? Like, are we the first successful one? Or are we actually the only true Nerevarine? Or were there, we'll say, several false starts? Like, maybe, I don't know, the spirit wasn't ready, or the time wasn't ready. Like, how many, has Azura been, like, raising Nerevar several times? Is this just, like, our most recent incarnation? Or are we the first actual successful reincarnation? Interesting, sorry. Thousands of years after their apotheosis, the tribunal are still the gods of Morrowind, and the old ways of worship are remembered only by a few. And the murder of Nerevar is known to fewer. But his queen and general still fear his return, for the words of Azura linger long, and they see the mark of her curse on their people every day. All right, that's been a lot of reading, and we're going to go ahead and end things there. Like I said, we're just gonna compartmentalize these two videos and just make them all about reading, because my voice is actually starting to cut out. I'm sure you can hear the cracking there. It's I need to take a bit of a break from talking. So we're gonna end things here, and next time I guess we're going to continue on with trials, uniting the Ashlanders, and then working our way towards dealing with Dagoth-Ur. Honestly, from the sounds of things though, it sounds like Vivec, and we'll say the tribunal itself should be paying for some of their sins a little bit. Anyways though, that's discussion for next time. My throat is killing me, so we're gonna stop. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, I'm sorry. Leave it a thumbs down. Either way, let me know what you thought in the comment section. And until next time, I would like to ask you all to game on. Game on.